Well, Dave, I think 6 turnovers, and then you add 11 penalties. That's hard to dig out of that. And I was very proud of our players that they did exactly that. And we had opportunities down the stretch in the fourth quarter, and that's really what you want to have in any game you play. You want to have an opportunity to win the game in the fourth quarter, and we did have that opportunity. We just did not get that done. When Chase got down there, obviously we were hoping he'd get in the end zone, but we had some time on the clock, and we were trying to utilize that as to an advantage for us. We ran a sweep, which was kind of our play of the week, which we had set up against Eastern Washington, and we had a couple assignment issues in that play, which caused us to lose some yardage. And then on third down, we, threw the pass a little too high, and we did have Hardy wide open, and that was unfortunate. And then we had been playing pretty good defense inside the red zone, so our thoughts were to tie it up and go to overtime. I really, obviously you never agree with all the calls. You never do. You never will, and that's being a human being. But there was a few things that caused us some really tough field positions. Our strategy had to change. Our play calling had to change. We had way too many first downs, and 15 first downs and 20, and that was hard to dig out of that part. And then on top of the turnovers, it was a matter of turning the field over and them having a short field and us having a long field all afternoon, and that was tough. And again, that's why it was, I was impressed with our players that at the end of the game we had a chance to go win it. Peter did make some, decisions that we were surprised with actually infielding the ball. Not only after he caught it, he got hit pretty well a couple times and the ball came loose, but Peter usually makes tremendous decisions, and he was at this table last week as a player of the game, so he's a very talented player, very intelligent player. So that that part of it was concerning, and I think more concerning to Peter Wynn than anybody. I mean, there's no one that feels worse than he does, and he did not make some positive judgments in fielding the ball, and that really hurt us. But I have a lot of confidence in him, and we're going to march on with him. Well, yeah, we really challenged our offensive line. We have been challenging them since January. I think it was a different type of challenge because Eastern had and has such a tremendous running back that they get a lot of credit there, and we have been absolutely getting no credit with our offensive line, and so we went over and explaining that they have to earn it every single practice, every single day, and so I think we challenged our O-line. Alex Verlanik has had 2 real nice games in a row, and I think he's really a big-time key in how our offensive line flows and works, and so I was proud of those guys. And Chase was healthier than he was at Cal Poly, and I think that showed up. I think he's going to be even healthier against Sac State, and I think that'll be a positive. We were hoping we'd get the call. We really were, and I would hope every chance you get to play on a Saturday afternoon, you have a crowd like that. I think that's what college football is all about, and having full stadiums and having a crowd that rushes the field. It's just, you got to be careful on the safety issue of that. Other than that, I was glad to see that they huddled and called it, because you always, anytime you have a heartbeat, you got a chance. And there's been some amazing plays over the years, and we were hoping to have one. I mean, even the kickoff return was interesting, and it took a long time. We didn't really advance the ball very far, but you never know. The Cal-Stanford game always comes to mind, that miracles do happen, and if you're prepared, I don't know if it's always a miracle, and we prepare for situations like that, even a long Hail Mary with some different options within that route in case they take something away, and that's exactly what we called, something that we practice at least twice a week. I'd like to credit Eastern Washington's quarterback. His stats were not outstanding, but he made big plays when he had to make big plays. And as I'm watching the New Mexico State transfer that got there really late from my understanding, I mean, I really credit him to pick up the offense. It's kind of like Antwon's situation too. I believe the quarterback has really picked up their offense at Sac State, and that's a credit to him. And the ability he poses as a runner, I mean, it's frightening that way, because now you have two outstanding running backs, you know, every single play, and then you add a couple tall receivers. You know, one of them's had some great plays against us last year. I think he reminds me of Cal Poly's big-time receiver. So you have some triple or quadruple threats within that offense, and a very solid offensive line. They get into the two tights, and they kind of just motor you downfield, you know, running the zone plays, and all of a sudden it's 2nd and 2 and 2nd and 4, and their third downs are getting their first downs, and they're moving the ball down the field. Well, Sac State, again, on offense, they had their way with Weber's defensive line, and that was a bit scary, because Weber's always had a very good defensive line, always well coached. And then when you flip sides, when you watch the other side of the video, it's Sac State's defensive ends really show up. Our tackles are going to have their work cut out for them in protection and in the run game. There's no question. And a veteran secondary back, I think all 4 of them are back. And they're good players. They played well against us in the secondary last year, and you know, we had to come back and score some points, and they got out early last year on us, so we had to come back and get it done that way. He held up. He was there. They had a 2-minute. Well, they scored with I think 2:08 left, something like that, and they had a methodical drive. It was 17 up, and he was really good. And his replacement, not a big guy. But again, it's a lot like Eastern. Eastern put number 30 in to kind of spell Taiwan, and that was smart football, because Taiwan seemed to be fresh. I don't know how you can be fresh when you run that far. I really don't. It's incredible. But Sac State does the same thing. They put their smaller guy in, and he's kind of a little water bug guy, or whatever you call him, and he's really quick. And then they put the bigger guy back in, and he can go and he can run you over. He does both things well. How tired our offensive line is, it really that does affect it. That really does. And with having a thin offensive line and not a whole bunch of guys that have played, you know, we're not using it probably as much as we had set out to do as early as last January when we took the job. But it was very productive. There was a couple drives in it that were outstanding, and you know, we kind of change it up a little bit every week, not drastically, just to give the defense maybe a little bit different look. But it really is all about speed and wearing people out. And Eastern Washington was very tired when we did that. They were tapping their helmets, and that's always nice to see. And you know, but you need to have the ball to be able to run the offense. So, you know, when they had a couple of their longer drives and Taiwan was making those runs, that, you know, you're just sitting there, gosh, I wish we could get it back so we could get into our hurry up. And because you're right, I thought the pace was outstanding. Our offensive line did a nice job this week with our hurry up, and it was one of the gratifying things about the game.
We take pride in what we do. We try to control all that we can, being blocking for the running backs. We have great running backs, making plays for the quarterbacks, and just trying to do what we can to help the team. It's going pretty well. I like it a lot, being a receiver type offensive run. It's not too hard. Came right in, picked up on it pretty fast, and fell in love with it. Being my first collegiate touchdown, felt real good. Not so much more confidence building. I mean, I always have confidence. It's just felt good to have that. Excited. Let's go. Let's do it. Because I know the defense haven't prepared for it. They haven't seen nothing like it. And I know that we can catch them on their heels like we did in the last game. Like Coach said, players were tapping out, gasping for air, wasn't able to set up a few times.
He's done a tremendous job, and you know, he only got to spend about a week with us in the summer. He was up here for a little bit, and then came right into fall camp, and he really picked up the offense right away, which was impressive and good to see from him. And he, ever since day one, he's came out and just made plays. You know, he's a guy that we're glad to have on our team. Glad we're able to get him, and he's done a lot of good things for us, and he'll continue to do that the rest of the year. You know, not really. Coming off the Cal Poly game, I really looked a lot at it. Just basically the fundamentals of throwing. And I noticed after the Cal Poly game, the first 2 weeks, there were times where I was kind of throwing off my back foot. You know, whether I was bracing to get hit or, you know, I had a guy in my lap or what it was. But looking at the Eastern game fundamentally, you know, the first couple throws were high, but I felt better about the mechanics of it. Looking at it, I felt like I was actually stepping into the throws, and they were still kind of sailing on me. But it's just something that obviously is a little bit of a problem, and you know, I'll continue to work at it. But you know, I felt a lot better about the mechanics, and once I kind of settled in there in the second quarter, I felt a lot better about my accuracy. You know, homecoming is just another game for us. You know, it's a big deal for the fans and for the university, but you know, for us, it's all about us against Sac State Saturday afternoon, and you know, we're backed into a little bit of a corner, and it's exciting that we're coming home, get our home crowd. You know, it'll be exciting. It'll be a big game for us. So the ability to come back home and have such a big game on our own turf, and kind of a big weekend where we'll have a good crowd on homecoming is a big deal for us. You know, it was a big time game atmosphere. It's not something that we're always used to on the road, but you know, we had a lot of Grizz fans over in Spokane. That's always nice to see when you walk into a visitor stadium and there's maroon everywhere. But obviously, the Eastern fans were excited about the red turf, big first home game, and they were exciting. And those are the kind of games you get a little pumped up, and they're a little bit fun to play in. You know, I didn't notice a single difference at all, and that's a little bit of the consensus I've got from guys. The other guys on the team is, you know, it was still 100 yards long, 53 1/3 yards wide. I didn't notice any difference for us. I was talking to Guff before the game that, you know, the big thing I think is it's going to be a little bit more painful for people watching the game. You know, the bright red turf, and that might get a little bit annoying, but as far as playing on it, there was no difference at all. Obviously helps, and you know, when we get into that hurry up stuff, you know, you know, our guys know what plays we're going to run. It's something we've practiced going all the way back to last January. So it's something that, you know, is a little bit ingrained in us, and we're confident in our ability to run those plays and to run that style of offense. And you know, the first 2 games we kind of sputtered with it a little bit, not as productive as we'd like, and so it was, just like Coach said, it was really encouraging for us to come out and execute our up-tempo offense like that.
There's things to be corrected, and obviously one of the things is tackling for us and bringing our feet when we tackle. And when you have a running back that's that fast, he really exposes flaws as you personally and as you as a defense. And he showed us that that's what we need to do better, and we're really going to make an emphasis of that this week, as the coaches have said. So that's one thing. He's a good player as well, and Taiwan has had tremendous speed. I mean, great agility, and you know, he's just a tremendous back, and he posed some problems for us, as you guys saw. But this running back coming in, he's really good as well, and we're going to have our hands full containing him. As far as that goes, all of us trust the guy right next to us to do their job in their assignment when the game's on the line, and they made some great plays and got us into positions. There was a 3rd and 10 that always replays in my mind when we had a chance to get Taiwan down, and that didn't happen, and we really need to focus on that for this week and make those plays when the game's on the line, because that's how you're going to win games, and we just need to make those plays. It's always great coming back home. Our fan base here is tremendous, and I love coming out there to a full stadium as our whole team does. But like Andrew said, it's just another game for us, and this is a really big game. And like he said earlier, we're backed into a corner, you know, and we really got to make sure that we pay attention to detail this week, know our stuff, and when we come out, we're ready to go on Saturday and get off to a fast start.